Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking all about one new launch. I know recently I've kind of been trying a lot of new different launches in one video, which has been great. And I actually had a completely different video planned to film today, and then this came in the mail, okay? I postponed my other plans and I was like, you know what? I just want to sit down and kind of do a dedicated video on this new palette right here. This is the PR package I received from Urban Decay, and it's for their new Naked Honey eyeshadow palette. So, you know, I'll be honest, at first when I saw this on Instagram and stuff, I was like, oh, those colors are so pretty, but I don't know if it's something that I need. And then as I saw more and more photos and swatches and makeup looks, I was like, dang it, that is something I'm really interested in. And I truly was going to go purchase it myself. I do receive some Urban Decay PR products, but sometimes they don't send out certain things. It honestly just depends. So I didn't know if I was going to receive this or not. And so I'm so grateful and so excited that they sent it to me. Here's what the inside looks like. This is the box for the palette. And then they also sent an eyeshadow primer potion. And here is the front of the actual palette. I think this is so beautiful. It's golden, it's luxe. It's a little bit more light than some of their other palettes in my opinion. The Urban Decay Heat palette and the Cherry palette have a much more heavy feel. This still feels nice and luxe and heavy, but I'm just noticing that it's a little bit lighter, which could actually be nice for travel and things. Here is the inside of the palette. Oh my gosh. Okay, so like I said before, when I first saw it, I thought, okay, it's a bunch of neutral tones. I probably own a lot of these, but then I kind of love this color scheme. Everything is just a little bit more warm toned. I love the yellows in here. I love how there's a little bit of like a purple undertone in this dark shade right here. I'm truly so excited to try this out. So we're just gonna be testing this today. I'm gonna be creating an eye look with it, and I'm gonna kind of keep the products balanced. So since this is a more high-end palette, I am gonna use a lot of affordable products in this tutorial just to kind of even things out. So I thought that I would use the Urban Decay Primer Potion since they did send it to me. This is actually one that I already owned before, so I'm just gonna go ahead and pop this on the eyelids first. Oh, while I'm blending that out, I did take a video outside in the sun with the palette, and I thought I would put it right here so that you guys can kind of see the true color, because sometimes the studio lights aren't very good at like showing what it actually looks like. So I wanted to show you guys that. I'm just gonna go ahead and take a concealer brush and kind of blend this out first, and then I'm gonna pat it down with my finger. You know what, before I go into the eye look, I'm gonna do some swatches for you guys since this is more of a single product focused video, and then maybe it'll help me get a feel for the look I want to do. Okay, so here are all of the shades swatched. We have Flyby, Sweet, Swarm, Amber, Keeper, Golden, Honey, Queen, Hive, Drip, HBIC, and Sting. I really like the lineup. I think they're so pretty, and there's a good amount of mattes and shimmers mixed in. So now we're ready to dive into the eye look. I actually really do love how Urban Decay includes a brush in their palettes. The brushes are always really, really nice. So I am gonna use that today. I'm not sure if it's gonna be the first brush I use. I'm gonna start off with the shade Flyby, and I'm just gonna kind of do a really light wash of this all over the eyelid. I personally like to kind of have a wash of something all over the lid to begin. I just think it helps me blend everything out. I'm not using very much of this though because it is a pretty light shade even for me, but I'm just blending this out from lash line up to the brow. All right, I'm gonna dip into the next shade right here called Sweet, and this is what I really wanna kind of smoke out everywhere to really prep the eyes for a nice sultry kind of a look. That's kind of what I'm feeling like doing with this palette. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start to brush that through the crease and then a little bit above the crease as my transition shade. I think it's kind of funny that like even though there's been so many new makeup launches, there's so many foundations, so many palettes coming out, there's so much of everything that's launching right now for some reason. And I just think it's funny how I truly still gravitate toward like more basic products. Not saying that this is basic, but just like the tones are just neutral. They're easy to use. They still inspire me more than like a rainbow palette inspires me. I do like to play with color, and I've learned to like to play with color over the years, especially while doing, you know, these YouTube videos, but I still feel like a good neutral palette is what I get the most excited about. It's kind of crazy. Are you guys like that, or do you like brand new like things you've never seen before to add to your collection? Because technically, yeah, we've seen a lot of these shades before, but just the way it's presented and some of these more greenish yellowy tones just really inspire me. I don't know. I'm really into it. Okay, so that shade is absolutely everything. I think it's perfect to prep the eyes, and I am kind of moving it in toward the brow a little bit right here, a little bit toward the end of the brow, just really getting it buffed in higher up toward the brow than I normally go. Also, when I received this, I remembered that ColourPop has a honey inspired palette called Honey. I wish that I bought that. I don't own that palette, so I wish I would have had it so that I could do some comparisons for you guys. I'm not really sure how similar the two are. I don't think that palette has like the more yellowy tones though. Let me double check. Okay, so here's the Honey palette versus this one. The Honey palette does have more like yellowy tones. It does have similar tones. I guess it does have a similar shade to the Honey shade in this palette. What it doesn't have is these darker shades on this side that look like this. So there might be some similarities. Again, I don't have it to tell you guys, but it might be something to kind of be aware of if you are wanting to get a palette with these tones. It honestly would just depend on your preferences and what you want to spend kind of, because this palette retails for $49. So it is a little bit more upfront versus the ColourPop palette. However, I feel like Urban Decay always does a really good job with their palettes. And to me, with the ones that I've purchased, I felt like they've been worth every penny. So next I'm going to go into the shade Swarm. I forgot to tell you guys, I already kind of started on this eye. And I'm just going to focus that more in the crease. I'm letting it fall down on the eyelid slightly too. I don't know, I'm just building up. I'm kind of still unsure of what exactly I want to do. I know I want to make it like super dramatic maybe somehow. And I really want to make it more smoked out and super blended. So that's why I'm kind of going in more of a gradient from the lightest shade and I'm working my way down to some of the darker shades. So I'm just layering that right on top and I'm blending it out toward the end of the brow. I'm not worrying too much about this right here. We can always clean that up in a minute. That's why we're doing the eyes first. Let's see, I want to go a little deeper. I want to go into this shade right here called Hive. I'm really into these kind of mustard matte tones that they have in this palette. And I'm just using that same brush and I'm just deepening up the crease even more. Ooh, this color is really nice. I'm just going to do the same thing on this eye and I am kind of bringing it in toward the lash line on this outer corner here just to start to build up that definition out on the corner. I'm going to try to use as many shades as possible. So I'm going into the shade Drip. And I'm actually just taking that same brush again. And I'm just gonna do the same thing. I'm just gonna layer that up more on the outer corner than I did the other shade we just used. I kind of want to start to build up that definition here. So far, all of these mattes are blending out beautifully, and I really love how they're all layering and going together. Like I know I've used every matte in the palette almost, but I feel like building it up and layering these and really taking the time to blend them out is going to help the overall finished look. So far, so good with all of these. I'm really, really liking them. I'm just taking that first brush that we used with the transition shade, and I'm just buffing everything together even further just to make sure that it's super, super blended out. I don't want any harsh lines at all, except I do want a little bit of a line right in the crease with the shade called Drip, which was the shade we were just using. So I am kind of building that up a little bit more. All right, now it's time to play with some of the shimmer shades. I don't know what to do. Maybe we'll do kind of like a gradient soft cut crease. I don't know. I just made that up. We'll see how it goes. So I'm going to start with the shade Queen, which is the deepest shimmer shade. And I'm actually going to try applying this with my fingers kind of more toward the outside of the eye because I want to keep the deepest colors kind of toward the outer corner. Okay, I feel like that's a good start to what I'm looking for. And then, ooh, what do we do? Okay, we're going to take Amber, and this is where I'm going to start using the Urban Decay brush. I'm just going to tap off the extra, and I'm going to start to kind of layer that right on the edge of where the shade Queen was. I'm truly trying to use as many shades as possible, if not every shade in this palette, just to get a good feel for each one. You obviously would not need to use 12 different shades to create a similar look, but I'm just trying to, you know, make the most out of this palette. And I am trying to keep a shape on the top part here. See how I'm kind of curving it around the crease, just so that we get that nice differentiation between the shimmer shades and then the matte shades that I applied in the crease earlier. Let's go into HBIC, which is a little bit more of a rose gold kind of color. I'm just using the same brush again, and this one I'm going to apply more in like the center of the eyelid. And I'm doing the same thing with that shade where I just kind of create a nice precise line up against the crease. I'm gonna flip over that brush. It's the same side of the brush, just the different side of the actual bristles. Next, I'm gonna go into Golden because I'm kind of wanting that honey shade to be more toward the inner corner. So I'm gonna start to apply this right here. Ooh, that shade's pretty. I'm really into this shade so far. I think the yellow gold really kind of add something special to the look. And I honestly don't own too many colors like this one specifically, so I'm really loving this. And last but not least, we're going to take the shade Honey, which is probably the most bold color out of the palette. And this is what's going to go right here in the inner corner. Okay, we've almost used every shade in the palette. The last one we need to use is this one right here called Sting, which I think is going to really just help deepen up the outer corner. So I'm just going to take a little bit of a smaller brush. And I'm going to start kind of along the lash line here. And then once there's a little less product on the brush, I am going to take it and kind of carve out the crease a little bit on this outer third of the eyelid. And I'm doing the same thing over on this eye. All right, I want a little more kapow with these yellow tones on the inner portion. So I'm going back in with the shade called Golden, which is what we used in this area here. And I'm going in with my finger, and usually when I use my finger, I get a much better result. I'm also going to do the same thing with the shade called Honey in this inner corner here. But I do find it helpful to do a brush first, because then you kind of have a good idea of where you want the product. And then you can kind of just add that intensity with your finger over top, or you can use a brush and just use a setting spray to wet it. That also works. I'm going to use this eyeliner from Urban Decay. This is called Gold Mine, and I just felt like it would be a good eyeliner to use with this palette because it's such a pretty yellow gold. I'm not sure if you'll be able to actually even see it because the colors are so similar, but I just really wanted to kind of emphasize the yellow gold along the lash line right here. So I'm just going to go about halfway across the lid with this. And then I'm going to use the shade Lucky from the same 24-hour Glide On Eye Pencil from Urban Decay. And I'm going to line the rest of the eye with this. This is more of a coppery color, which I really like. I'm just taking the brush that we used in the crease quite a bit, and I'm just kind of dusting over everything. I want to make sure that I like everything before I move on. So I'm just making sure everything is as blended as I want it to be. So now I'm going to go and clean up underneath the eye. There was quite a bit of fallout. Nothing too crazy, but that's why it's always good to do the eyes first, especially when it's a palette that you haven't used before. So I'm just using the wipe to kind of clean up the edges, and then I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to pat down the edges just so that they're not too harsh. I really don't want a harsh line here, and it will all come together once I apply the rest of the makeup products, but patting it out kind of helps keep it from looking too harsh. I really want to keep that smoked out effect. All right, I'm actually going to do some mascara on the top lashes right now. So I'm going to use the Urban Decay Perversion mascara. This is the mascara that I used when I tried out your Holy Grail makeup products. If you haven't seen that video, I will have it linked down below. But I thought this video would be a perfect one to use it again because it's Urban Decay, you know? So I thought it was fitting. And I am not going to be shy with this mascara. I'm going to really try to build it up as much as possible, just because I feel like a nice heavy lash is going to complement the bright yellow gold in the inner corner especially. All right, mascara is on. I did get a little bit of mascara on the eyelid, but I will take care of that later. I'm just going to let it dry for now. As I was going through my products, I found some other products that I felt like would be fun to use with this look. The NYX Honey Do Me Up primer, of course, made sense for this makeup look, so I'm just going to go ahead and apply this all over the skin. This has such an interesting texture. I'm just going to go ahead and rub this into the skin, and then I'm just going to go ahead and press that down. For foundation, I wanted to use the foundation that I can't stop wearing, and it's kind of crazy because out of all the foundations that have launched, this is truly the one that I keep on wearing, and this is the cheapest one, or most affordable, I should say. This is the Believe Beauty Skin Finish Foundation. I did actually end up taking this on my trip. I'm not sure how many of you guys saw the video where I tried this out. I will have that linked down below as well. But I ended up taking this foundation with me, and I packed a couple other foundations, and this is the one that I wore every single day. I wore it the first day, and then at the end of the day, I was like, you're kidding me. I was impressed all over again. And so I was like, you know what? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And so I just kept wearing this one. If you want to know, my shade is Nude, and I'm just going to go ahead and use a brush to kind of buff this out first. And I'm going to blend it down the neck a little bit. Then I'm going to go into my Dose of Color sponge. I'm going to take what's left off the back of my hand of that foundation, and I'm just going to use this to press it down into the skin. It truly baffles me every time I wear this that it's only $5, and then when I wear it throughout the day, it baffles me even more. I don't know how they did it. I'm going to conceal the face with the Laura Mercier Flawless Fusion Concealer. The foundation does a pretty good job at covering up. It has pretty good coverage. So I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of the lighter shade, which is the shade 1N under the eyes. And then I'm going to take the shade 2N and kind of do a little bit of that under the eyes, and then spot conceal where I need to. And I'm just going to go ahead and blend all that out with the same exact sponge. Next, I'm going to take a little bit of the Too Faced Peach Perfect Setting Powder, and I'm going to use this underneath the eye area. I'm also going to be using this in the T-zone. This powder smells so good. I'm going to set the entire forehead in the center with this powder because I have another powder that I felt like would be really pretty with this look that I haven't used in a while. So I'm just going to go ahead and make sure the entire T-zone is set with this more matte powder. And then I'm going to go into my Laura Mercier Translucent Loose Setting Powder, and this is the glow version. So the other Laura Mercier powder is just matte. This is the one that has a little bit of shimmer in it, and this is one that you can go overboard with if you're not careful. But what I like to do with this is I like to use it on the outside of the face. So I'm just taking my larger setting brush. I'm just going to tap off the extra. I really don't want to use too much here, but I'm just going to go ahead and press this on the sides of the face to set. And I'm also going to set right here on the side of the forehead. And the thing that I like about this is it has a little bit of a gold undertone to it. And I just felt like with this whole honey theme that it might pull together the whole look. So I'm just going to go ahead and apply this to the cheeks. You can kind of actually see it. It's a pretty glowy powder. So like I said before, you want to make sure to kind of have a little bit more of a light hand with it. But I thought it would be really pretty with this look. All right, before we move on with the face, let's go ahead and finish up the eyes. We're gonna dip back into the honey palette, and I'm gonna take the shade, almost dropped it. Would have been bad. All right, I'm gonna go into the shade Sweet, and I'm gonna pinch the brush that we used on the top lid, and I'm just gonna start buffing that along the lower lash line. Now this is where I'm really wanting to kind of go a little bit extra, so I'm just gonna not pinch it when there's a little bit less product on the brush, and I'm gonna start to really buff that out lower than I normally do underneath that lower lash line. And I'm making sure to connect it to the existing shadows out here. Same thing on this eye, starting out by pinching the brush, and then once there's less product on the brush, I'm just gonna start to really buff that out. Okay, I'm gonna take the shade Golden, and I'm actually gonna wet the brush this time, just with a bit of setting spray. And I'm going to start to apply this on this inner portion of the eye. I really want the lower lash line to stand out, so I want that yellow gold to really be a focal point. So that's why I'm starting with this shade. It's already looking so pretty. I'm gonna take the same brush and go into the shade Amber. And again, I wanna make sure that this is nice and damp, just to avoid fallout, and to also make it more intense. It's kind of a win-win situation. And with the shade Amber, I'm gonna really start to intensify more of the center of the lid. Next, I'm gonna take the shade Hive, and I'm gonna start to kind of blend the shimmer shades down into the other matte shade that we applied to the lid, or the lower lash line, I mean. So I'm just going right along the edge of the shimmers and bringing that out toward the edge on the outer corner as well. And then I'm going to take that brush that we used in the crease on the top lid. I didn't add any more product to it, and I'm just using that to further blend everything out. All right, next I'm adding that really light golden shade, the eyeliner called Gold Mine, all the way along the waterline. Then I'm going to take the shade Sting, and I'm going to work this along the outer third of the lower lash line, pretty close to the lashes, making sure to blend it up into the existing shade on that top lid as well. Okay, I like where that's at. I'm gonna go ahead and apply some lower lash mascara. I'm just gonna use the same Urban Decay mascara. I'm kind of making a mess here, but I'm moving the mascara wand back and forth like this to try to create more of a clumpy lower lash line. I just thought that'd be kind of a cool effect with this look. Okay, we're gonna have to revisit the lower lash line because I got mascara everywhere. In the meantime, let's quickly finish up the rest of the complexion. So I'm gonna go into the Believe Beauty bronzer. This is the In the Tropics bronzing powder in the shade Hawaiian Glow. And I like this because it's not completely matte, but it doesn't have shimmer in it. It's like a sheen almost. And I just felt like the tone of it would really pull together the eye look. So I'm just gonna go ahead and warm up the complexion with this along the forehead, along the jawline, and down the neck. And I am actually going to take a little bit down the sides of the nose and underneath the nose as well, and a little bit underneath the lip. So I'm actually going to blend out the bronzer with my Laura Mercier, this is the Candle Glow Sheer Perfecting Powder. And I just thought that this would be really pretty over top of everything. Obviously, I've talked about this powder quite a few times, but I recently discovered that it actually looks so pretty when you use it to blend out bronzer. It just kind of smooths everything out. I really love that. All right, for highlight, I thought this was perfect. This is the Believe Beauty Radiant Finish Highlighter in the shade Champagne Kiss. I've been wearing this quite a bit as well. The thing I like about this is it has a true kind of golden undertone, which I thought would be perfect for this look, but it doesn't look bad on my skin tone, which a lot of times golden highlighters really don't work that well for me. For some reason, this one does. It just blends right into my skin tone and I love it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and apply that to the high points of the face. I like to apply a little highlighter on the front of the cheeks as well, and a little bit on the nose, do a little bit on the cupid as well. And I'm gonna take what's left on the brush and just kind of run it through the tops of the brows, just to get a little bit of highlight there, but I don't want things to be too precise since the overall look is a little bit more smoked out. Wanna make sure we didn't ruin any of that. I might have. Oh well. For blush, I'm going to take this one from ColourPop. I believe this is the ColourPop and Kathleen Lights blush. I can't remember the shade off the top of my head. Is it Lunar Has It? I don't know. I will have it listed and linked down below. I'm going to go ahead and take a blush brush and pop this on the cheeks. I thought that this would be perfect with this look as well because it's a little bit more muted. It's a little bit more bronzy and brown. And I kind of just wanted to keep everything pretty monochromatic so that we can let the yellow on the eyes really stand out. Let's take off any foundation that got on the lips. Ooh, I need to run and grab my pencil sharpener for my lip liner because it is very dull and we need good lips. All right, we're gonna be using the KKW Beauty Nude Lip Liner and this is in the shade 1.5. I've been really loving the shade 0.5. This one is a little bit more brown toned, so I thought it might look cool with this look, but we'll see how it goes. And we're just gonna go ahead and line and fill in the lips with this. Oh my, yes, absolutely. Do you see what I'm talking about? Just tied everything together. This is getting me so excited for like fall makeup looks. I mean, it's already September, so technically this is like my first fall makeup look, right? I think the first official day is later in September, but whatever. I kind of am ready for fall. I didn't think that I would be because it kind of felt like summer went by fast for me, but my husband and I have been making like lots of pumpkin desserts already. We make healthy desserts, so we don't use sugar, we use like sugar substitutes, but regardless, they have been so delicious. So maybe that's kind of what's like gotten me into the fall vibes. But anyway, this lip liner, yes, it's very good. I feel like this lip liner could be its own, you know, standalone color, but I did choose a lipstick that I felt like might be good with it. So I'm just gonna apply it on top. This is the ColourPop Luxe lipstick. This is the matte finish and it's in the shade Third Eye. It's very similar to the lip liner, so that's why I chose it. But I'm just gonna go ahead and apply this on top. Okay, it's a little bit more pink, I guess. But regardless, I think it looks nice with this lip liner. I'm just taking my finger and I'm pressing that into the lip liner. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the shade Honey, which is that bright yellow, and I'm gonna take it on a pretty small brush. And I'm kind of gonna load up that color on the brush and I'm going to wet the brush again. Okay. And I really want this inner corner to just be like super, super gold. So I'm just going to apply that in the inner corner of the eye. I'm really liking how that looks. I do feel like I want a little bit more brightness. So here it is. I'm gonna take a little bit of the Believe Beauty highlighter that I used on my cheeks. And I just feel like adding a little bit of this might really help the inner corner pop a little bit more on my skin tone. So I'm just gonna add that right on top. So pretty. Okay, I'm gonna go underneath the lower lash line and buff away any mascara marks. All right, before we set the face, we're just gonna make sure that everything looks the way we want it to. So I'm going in with my bronzer brush. I didn't add any more bronzer actually, but I'm just wanting to kind of make sure that there's enough on the forehead, as always. Also gonna make sure there's enough blush on the apples of the cheeks. And while we're at it, I'm just gonna take what's left on the highlighter brush and just really kind of buff that into this high point of the cheek right here. Let's go ahead and set the face. I don't know why I felt like this would kind of go with the theme of this look. This is the Farsali Rose Gold Skin Mist. Maybe because there's gold in it. That's probably what my thought process was. I'm gonna give it a good shake first. I'm gonna spray the face. Oh, okay. I love the way that smells. I go in with my handy fan. And as that starts to dry, I'm just gonna take my sponge and start to press down any peach fuzz and any powdery finish back into the skin. Okay, and just to add to the overall glow, I'm gonna go into my Ciate London Dewy Sticks. This is in the shade Glow. I love this product. It's basically just like a balm and it works great over top of highlighters to just add that extra glow. It really helps to intensify any highlighter that you're wearing. You can also wear this on its own, but I personally like to layer over top of my favorite powder highlighters and then I just kind of tap it into the high points of the face. And when the sunlight catches it, it just looks like it's your skin. It doesn't add any sparkle to it or anything. I love this stuff so so much if you can't tell. I'm also gonna add it right here. And I just feel like it really helps to bring the whole look together in the end. Love that stuff. I'm trying to decide if I need a gloss or not. I don't know. While I decide, I'm going to set the brows. So I'm just gonna brush it up with a spoolie first. And I'm gonna use the Clear Glossier Boy Brow to lock in the brows. And I've been kind of into pressing the brow down into the skin, especially when I use boy brow. I saw Nikki Makeup do this with the soap brows technique that she does, and I gave it a go the other day, and I've kind of been into it. I really still need to groom my brows. They are wild. I just keep forgetting, you know? It's been on my to-do list for about 6 months. Just being honest. Okay, I think I need a gloss. I'm gonna go ahead and put on a little bit of the M Cosmetics True Gloss in the shade Mochi Mochi. This is a very light shade, so I'm not gonna use very much. I just want it really in the center of the lips. I'm gonna take my finger and press that in. Just to give the lips more of a healthy sheen. I'm not looking for, you know, a super glossy look. Just like that, like a little bit of lip balm or something like that. All right, you guys, so that is the completed look using the new Urban Decay Naked Eyeshadow Palette. I have to say, I really do love how this look turned out. I feel like it's a perfect segue into fall. I absolutely love this palette. I really enjoyed how the mattes blended out. I really love the shimmers in it. I definitely feel like I'm going to be keeping this right here on my desk, and I'm gonna be reaching for it, especially for fall. I think it's so beautiful. All of the colors are really easy to use. I feel like you can create so many foolproof looks with this. I really did enjoy this. With that being said, I know there's so many launches, and I just kind of wanted to put a disclaimer out there. If you feel like you already own these colors, you don't need to pick up this palette. I know a lot of times when there's new launches, and especially when you see videos like this, it might make you want to go and purchase it. And if you are somebody who's just like, yes, I already know I need this palette in my life, of course, I feel like purchasing it would be really fun because it is a great palette. But for those of you who are kind of on the fence, something that I like to do, especially in moments like this where we're just kind of bombarded with new releases, I will add the product to my Sephora or Ulta cart, and I will let it sit there, because I feel like a lot of times there's products that launch and then everybody talks about it, and then sometimes there's a product that kind of makes it through that initial burst, and that's when I'm like, all right, I'm gonna buy it. Or if I personally feel like I still really want it even after a couple weeks, I go ahead and pull the trigger and I buy the product. There's been other products where I kind of hear people kind of talking about it, or it's a brand new launch that I'm kind of interested in, and I'll just put it in my cart and I'll let it sit. And if it's something that I forget about, sometimes I'll return to my cart and I will open it up and be like, oh, I forgot about that. And there will be something new that I would like a little bit more. So that's just something that I thought I would share with you guys. It's something that I do to kind of, you know, keep myself a little bit more balanced when there's just a lot of makeup launches happening. But with that being said, this is a beautiful palette. I do feel like if you are into these kinds of colors, you would not be disappointed in this. But I feel like another option, if you want to have some of these tones for fall, is this palette right here, which is from ColourPop. You can see not all the colors are the same, but it's in the same family. I've been loving this palette a ton. It was in my recent favorites video, so I thought I would mention it again. This is the ColourPop California Love palette. So just know that there's options out there where you can achieve a very similar vibe and a very similar look, and there's different price points and all of that. And it just kind of depends on what you're willing to spend. I think both these palettes are beautiful, and I am going to be reaching for both of them a ton this fall. But with that being said, I really do feel like Urban Decay did a really nice job with this. I feel like this might be my favorite naked palette. I don't know. I really enjoyed Heat and Cherry as well. Those two, and then this one, I think those are the best three that they've ever launched. I actually didn't even try the new Naked palette, which maybe I need to try that. Have you guys tried or purchased the new Naked palette? Let me know if it's something that's worth checking out, because I just realized I didn't try that one. Oh my gosh, this makeup look makes me so excited for fall. I feel like baking some pumpkin cookies or something like that. And based off of this look and my first impressions, I really truly did enjoy this palette, and I would say if you are interested in it, it has a thumbs up from me. It's just up to you as far as, you know, whether you want to pick it up or not. But it is very pretty. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you found it helpful. Let me know in the comments below if there's any other new products that you would like to see me try out on my channel. I love to always make sure I'm making content that you guys want to see that's going to be helpful for you guys. So let me know if there's something that you've been eyeing that you're not sure whether you should purchase or not. I love to do these kinds of videos where I kind of focus more on a specific product. If you're new here, hi, my name is Allie, and I would love for you to join the family. You can do so by hitting the subscribe button. And if you're already a subscriber but you want to be notified on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, Fridays at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Click on the bell after you subscribe and you'll get a notification every single time I upload. Also, I haven't mentioned this very much, but if you guys want to see a little bit more behind the scenes of my day-to-day life and things like that, I do post on my Instagram stories quite a bit, so I'll have that link down below as well. It's just at Allie Glines. And I also post makeup looks and I keep you guys updated on current products that I'm loving in specific categories and some of my flat lays. So if you guys want to follow me on Instagram and you're not already, I will have that link down below. I hope you guys have an amazing day wherever you are, and I hope you guys enjoyed this look. Let me know what you guys think, and I will see you in my next video. Love you. Bye!